Wamesema hakuna harusi.
Kwa nini?
Hapana.
Shushu.
Harusi lazima itaendelea. Nani anasimamisha harusi?
Sababu ya COVID.
Kebra record tustrimiwe do.
Nasema Safaricom iko na free data kila siku. Sasa tunaweza kustream hii wedo.
Hi Shosho.
You make is the bribes.
Pata hadi 500 MB free kila siku. Piga star 544 hash na uchague unlock free data. Mwelekeo ni internet.
Hi everyone, this is Radull Live. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, we're coming to you courtesy of Betika. Yes, those are my partners. And right now, Betika wants you to know that there's no minimum bet when you place your bet on betika.com. You can actually place a bet with 1 shilling, a bob, yeah, and you stand to win, a bit more than a bob, of course. So make sure you go to betika.com and enjoy yourselves there. Now, today we're going to talk about athletics, and I am with one of the top coaches of athletics in Kenya, Ouma. Bariako.
Salama sana.
You are a top coach in Kenyan athletics, and I want people to understand who you are and what you do, so give us an introduction.
Thanks, Carol. I'm so delighted to be invited here, to be part of your great establishment. I'm an upcoming coach, not a top coach.
Ah, humility. You don't know that phrase, a humble Lua is a pretender. So, an upcoming coach.
Yes. The CEO and owner of Rongai Athletics Club. Is a club down Ongata Rongai. That's where the name is derived from, Rongai. Mainly with, predominantly with the middle distance. Some call us the best club in the world. I don't know whether that is true as far as middle distance is concerned, because we've dominated some events for quite a while. And we've got some upcoming, the kids athletics, and of course a few fitness enthusiasts, ladies and gentlemen who want to come and jog and walk with us. Some who just want to live their sedentary lifestyle and come and get fit.
And get fit. The reason I called you a top coach, and you just said it yourself, Rongai Athletics Rongai Athletics Club, sorry, football is always on my mouth, has developed some of the best middle distance runners in the world, because one of the runners you currently have under your fold is, if I'm not wrong, holds the fastest time this year, Timothy Cheriot, in 1500 meters. So how is that not a top coach?
Probably because of the hard work from the athletes and the support staff. Maybe we're making inroads fast, but yes, it is true. We've dominated 1500 meters since 2015. Timothy has been 5 times Diamond League winner, of course 4 because of the new system. But from 2016, he has been the world #1 throughout. And the world champion and silver medalist in the Olympics. It was the favorite for gold, but unfortunately we're human beings. And at times we don't wake up well, or there's a bad patch during our preparation, and we get ill. Of course, COVID played some role as well.
Training was messed up for a lot of athletes.
A lot of things were messed up, and even COVID. Yeah, the boy had COVID.
He had COVID as well?
Yeah, so, and you know, COVID, there's a research which has been done with football. The negative effect of COVID, even after recovery, people don't get to their level of fitness for close to 6-8 weeks. And some research are talking, and this is a proven research, and they haven't done in athletics yet. But I know the guys in UK was coming up with a peer-reviewed article about the same, on the effect of COVID and how long it takes you to get back into your fitness. So sad that the whole world was shut down and a lot of interruption in terms of our routines. Athletics were affected and some sports as well, but we're happy things are getting back to normal. We're so great that Olympics took place.
That they just took place. That was an achievement in itself.
Yeah.
How is Timothy right now in terms of health?
No, he's doing well. We took I won't call it a long break, a short break, and we've started with some long aerobic runs and doing some strength training. We're trying to do a review of what we did during COVID and what we didn't do. And of course, before we approach the next season, there are a lot of plans that has to be done. And even interviews between myself and the athlete, the same way we are talking. How did you find the season? What didn't you get right? Why did you achieve this comparing to the other one? So there are a lot of graphs because these are athletes I've worked with for many years. And I've got a template for their custom-made programs, which is quite interesting at times. I tend to go against science at times and question science most of the times. Yes, science is there, but there's nothing wrong questioning science.
And if I'm not wrong, you're an engineer by profession, but you're saying that you ignore the science sometimes? Or experience has taught you that you don't always have to apply science?
You apply science, but I believe science is malleable. You see, when you're doing a research, there are various parameters that you look at. And some of them are, natural conditions. And of course, you have various participants. And look at the generation we are having now. And look at most of the research templates that we have. Some of them were done in the 50s, in the 60s. Are we still having the same generation? I doubt if we do. A lot has happened in between. So how do we use the science and how do we introduce various angles that are science-based still and with some little bit of research? So how flexible are you towards science? That is the question. Are you science-oriented? It has just to be this one. The book, you say this. I don't work according to the book at times.
But it's been a success story for you?
Yes, it is working for us. Yes, we make some mistakes here and there, but is it a mistake worth risking for? Yes, it is.
You also have, I believe, Elijah Manangoi. He was also under Rongai Athletics, or you as a coach?
Yes, those are people that are picked from childhood. Majority of my athletes are from the junior stage, because one, I don't do scouting. Every athlete in my fold is brought in by a parent, or a guardian, or a teacher from a school. I don't do scouting.
So they brought at roughly what age?
At the moment, the youngest I have at track now is 7 years old. Very nice girl, very jovial and outgoing. And some of the old athletes, because the club has been in existence since 2008, some of them has retired, they come back to sport. I try to, in terms of job apprentice and upskilling in academics, I try to absorb them into the system of the club. They're helping the captaincy, they're helping in administration as well to come back. Because this is a family. I'm not doing business. I'm just doing charity work.
One of the most successful clubs, or arguably the most successful club when it comes to middle distance running, and you're not making any money from it?
No, we don't do business, just helping people.
Just
if you look at the motto of our club is identifying talent from the less fortunate in the society. This is basically what we do. If you come now, some of them are having serious history, orphans, some are just neglected from the parents. And this is the only club where you can find all the tribes there. From Maasai, Rendile, Pokot, Turkana, Kikuyu, Kamba, Luos, everything. Kisis, everything. And because this is more of a family, we don't look at Timothy as a champion or as a star. He's a rock family, he's part of the family, and everybody is equal.
Timothy is a star. He's had the fastest time this year, right?
Even last year, even the other year.
Bernard is a star.
He's a star.
Is your son, or you're his guardian or manager, but he's a star.
Yes, from the perspective of the public and the sporting fraternity, where competition is involved, of course they rate them, and this rating could be a star. But from the context of a family setup of rock, no, this is just part of the son who is growing, and apparently is could be the eldest, another one is younger. So yes, Manangoi as well started from there, and the younger Manangoi, George, who is having World Under 18, World Under 20, Africa, and Elijah Manangoi, the senior as well, he started from there as well.
So you're producing superstars without even thinking about it.
Not really. I think, first of all, I respect the athletes because they're very disciplined. And we have systems, which is, again, we make system together as a team. And when you draw a plan as a family, then everybody is responsible for their role as well. So there are various obligations that you have to carry on to ensure that we win as a team. When we lose as a team, and we love losing. Losing is good because it wakens you up.
Builds character
and
as
builds
well.
character. So as long as the loss does not enter your brain and dampen your spirit, then it is a good loss.
If somebody brings their child, say that 7-year-old, how do you determine whether this child can be an athlete or not? Or that isn't the end goal when they bring a child?
You see, it is so interesting working with kids because they are themselves. They don't have any background issues that they have to deal with. So the most important thing we do is checking the trainability, not even the physical assessment, the attitude of the kid. How can this kid blend with everybody else? Like I have Safi, a very nice kid, for Rosemary Odinga, very tall and talented.
Oh, I know Safi.
A nice girl as well. You know, things can really get tough. And I asked Safi, why are you late? She said, no. She wanted to say, it's not me who is late. Somebody made me to become late. Because one of the things, and you realize, we agreed to meet by 1. I was there 5 minutes to 1. That's our principle. We have to keep time and respect time and discipline. So apart from checking the physical assessment of the athlete, whether they can be athletes or any other sports, we have a system which is kids athletics. This is multiple events. Can they run? Can they jump? Can they throw? Can they walk? So if you come to RAC and for the babies, we even play football there. Why? Because we set it as a playing ground for the kids. When they're playing, then you can identify the dominant talent. And from there you advise, this is the jumper. So we don't put them into running per se, but you put them in various and multiple events for them to go along.
In fact, the question now is, Kenya, we're known for that long distance running, middle distance running. We're not known for field events. Why? And what are we not doing right to develop in field events?
I don't think what we are not doing right. You know, at times life is about interest. I'm sure what you drew your attention and interest to get involved in football probably is the environment. So there's a huge influence from our environment. The brother, the sister is playing football. What about if your brother and the sister, the mother were running? Definitely there's that extrinsic influence that you think, oh, let me try running. So there are a number of factors that are drawing us into the event that we are doing. That is one of them. In terms of middle distance, it's now 53 years since we got the first, probably the last medal by Naftali Temo, who passed on, I don't know which Olympic was that. 1968 was Mexico. That was our last Olympic 10,000 meters medal by Naftali Temo, who died, I think, at the age of 58 in 2003. After that, we don't have any other medal. But if you look at this, we have talent. I'm sorry, in football they say there are no talent, but in athletics there are talents.
Somebody says.
Somebody said that. I don't know how he came back with that one. Maybe he's not a Kenyan. But in athletics, we have a lot of talent. It is interest, research that brings production, that brings performance as well. If you look at most of the races outside, which race is paying more? Marathon. So there's a huge interruption of transition from the track event, a little bit of roads, then you're jumping into the marathon. So not so many people are very keen on doing 10,000 meters on the track. And if they do, they're doing that as just a stage to prepare to go to a half marathon and obviously to the full marathon. But if we start paying road races and if we start paying track races, well, then people will start running 10,000 meters and it will be very good.
But then it's unfortunate because we have a wealth of talent, and it's unfortunate if it's a lack of role models and also if it's financially based. I remember reading a post on Facebook by, I think it was David Rudisha, a couple of years ago, 5-6 years ago, and you're saying more than 400 athletes had met qualifying times. I don't know if it was for Olympics or World Champions, and yet Kenya couldn't even take 100. So we always have this spillover, and probably another reason athletes are going abroad. But because of that spillover, instead of not being selected at all for the national team, it would make sense if you took up one of the events where we're not represented at all.
I think what we could have done is, that boils again to the system. If we can set up and to be precise, say, oh, this is the event that we're doing worse. Can we set up some resources for this and have fundings and set up system, set up some camps, identify a few athletes, pay them very well, because see, athletes are earning a lot of money outside than running for the national country. I mean, for doing national duty, because there's no such in terms of remuneration and rewards.
We don't really look after our athletes.
We don't look after our athletes pretty well in comparison to others. I know we have many athletes, and you see, when there is a surplus, then definitely value goes down. So at times scarcity plays very well for our neighboring countries like Uganda and the rest. So yes, there are many factors that are contributing to us not performing well in some other event. So it will take a man or a woman to sit down, come up with a plan, a proposal, and attack these various events, set up some system and some resources, or a woman.
One is sitting here.
With some financial muscles, and come up with that. As a club, yes, we headed that direction, but ours is a bit slow because this is a private entity, so you only deal with people.
What's within your means, within your strategy.
And your strategy, which is, we've started with the track. Yes, the club started with marathon. Then I changed everything. I said, let's start with the track, and we grow along. So soon Timothy will be in 5,000 meters, 10, half, and full marathon. This will take a while. And we have some other people filling in the gap behind him as well. Very young athletes who just finished school last year. Some of them are still in school, doing their fourth form. I love working with the young ones because you set up a system and they follow. And I don't recruit elites. No. You can give me an athlete here, I'll pick one and start developing them. Why? Because I'm not in a rush, probably. 2, because of background checks. That's why I don't do scouting. If Carol has a child, could be your baby, your niece, or whoever, you've done all the checks. So if there's a problem, Carol, how did you bring up this child? So I prefer referrals than going to pick athletes myself from the ground.
I want you to develop people in field events. I found it really unfortunate. We recently hosted the World Under-20 Championships.
Yeah.
And my understanding was Kenya didn't qualify for any of the field events. We're there by virtue of hosts, which is quite unfortunate because in school, we all did high jump and long jump and maybe not pole vault. But
we may be, but you see, kids from school, You know our system of education as well. And they call it PE, physical education, where you're living by after work, after school, stretch, jump, stretch,
for fun,
throw, for fun. So there's no approach, that professional approach behind it, to churn out the proper talent. That this is the people we are, and of course I understand them because they're lacking resources as well. So it is systems. If we get a proper system, which I know the Federation is doing their best as well, to come up with a system. But, you know, we still need people to do research and innovations for us to develop. If we stick to our 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, then the world has caught up with us. And now we are not pretty on our comfort zone. And now we start panicking and doing catch-up. This is what is happening now. And you saw we lost our first ever event in steeplechase, which is fine if you're looking at the politics of business. Because who are funding these races? These are the European. They will be very happy to find their people winning.
We're not.
And if we don't win, it's good for them because the money remains with them and say, wow, a Kenyan didn't win. Now the money goes to one of our own. So yes, it's bringing that competition and making it, I don't know whether it's called it healthy or not, because you see, at the moment, the president of the World Athletics is SEBCO. We're doing a lot of fundings. Is from the Caucasians. I don't think there's any athletic event taking place being sponsored by Africans. If they do, or African companies, if they do, I doubt, maybe very low key. Why can't we have a proper Diamond League in Africa?
In Africa.
Why can't we have the same way we had the World Championship? Why can't we come up with some other events? So what are our companies doing? Now there's a question Carol should be asking our companies. What are you doing to support the society in terms of sport? What are you doing to support our sportsmen and women as well? Why are we all the time pointing at the Federation? The Federation can just do much. But in terms of funding, yes, they have to come out with the proposals for that, but still companies as well need to come along and support the Federation.
You're absolutely right. Our companies don't have, and we have this conversation with all the sports, even football, they don't yet see our sport as something that can market their brand for them. Instead, they'd rather hire a model and put on a billboard instead of a sports person and put them up on a billboard.
And supporting our
like
dirty politics.
But on the flip side, the federations and the organizations who run these sports also need to step up and give them value, because
absolutely,
it shouldn't always be a CSR project for the corporates.
I agree with you. I mean, it is a blame that is cutting across board. Yeah, even to coaches as well. Even to the athletes as well. I mean, you've just said that many of our athletes are media averse. Why?
Very shy.
Why are they shy? Because Bolt is earning a lot of money out of competitions than in competition. And that is the reason why they're rich and why they're still making money even now when they're out of competitions. But again, our media as well. If you know these athletes are not comfortable in this particular language, why don't you use a language that they feel comfortable?
But we always tell them that. In fact, it frustrates me sometimes when we watch an athlete at the end of the race struggling to speak English.
Why must you speak English?
When it is a German who wins, he comes with his German. Spanish will speak Spanish.
If I feel I want to speak Luo here, it's upon you to get a translator. I'll be talking comfortably. Omera teramos.
Teramos.
Yes.
In fact, I want us to take a short break. Teramos. I want us to take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk more about athletics in Kenya and what more we as media, as fans, as corporates, as you mentioned, can do. We'll see you in a moment.
Wameroni, nasikia ulijaribu kuwekelea kwingine.
Wacha niwaambie, kaamua kujaribu kwenda kuwekelea hivi, nikasikia bado sikaisha, nikawekelea multibet ikiwa imebaki game moja, nikasikia tena timu yangu imepigwa, kwenda kutafuta cash out, hakuna. Nikaamua kutoa ile tu pesa kidogo ilikuwa nyingine.
Jiunge na Betika leo na uenjoy kubet bila bundles, cash out, free withdrawals na so much more. Betika, chukua la mabingwa.
Welcome back. This is Radull Live. Thanks for staying with us. We're having a very interesting conversation about athletics in Kenya, the growth of athletics, and yeah, hopefully one day we'll be in the field events. I'm here with Bernard Ouma. He's refusing, but I am saying top athletics coach. He says upcoming athletics coach. But you are the coach of the current world record, fastest man in 1500 this year and last year.
And the other year.
And the other year.
And the
other year.
Yeah.
As a top coach, Bernard, man. Timothy Cheriot, you've also managed and groomed and brought up the Manongoy brothers. So as far as I'm concerned, the only way is further up. But yeah, you are, for me, you're a top coach. For yourself, you're an upcoming coach. Before the break, we were talking about basically marketing and branding of athletes themselves and being comfortable in speaking in their own language when on international meets. I think that's important. But there is more in terms of personal branding that I think our athletes are missing, don't you think?
I agree with you. This boils down to the handlers, the coaches now. Because are we coaches freebie, watchers, and very loud voice? Or are we coaching character, personality, and people who can integrate well into the society? If you look at other systems outside the country, I'm lucky that because of the small performances, I'm getting invited to various meets. And for example, I'm invited as a guest speaker at the British Milers Club in Leeds University next month from the 13th. And then after that, in December, I think 28th to 30th, at Colorado, again, the middle and long distance as a guest speaker. Why are they doing this invitation? So this is like a platform so they can collect data for their research. This is a platform that they can do innovation in their training. That what are we doing that the Kenyans are not doing? What are we doing that the Ugandans are not doing? Are we ready to spend money to teach our athletes, i.e. apart from running, we want you to be like this? It's not just academics only, but even on the social understanding on how the sports operate, and the importance of coming to the media, and the importance of understanding issues to do with doping, and the importance of understanding how you can integrate well, how you can manage your finances as well. There's a huge gap and a lot of lapses that has to be done by, apart from the athletes, even the support staff, and the organs that are handling athletes, even the Ministry of Sports as well. If you see people talk, they talk when there's a problem, but nobody is initiating and foreseeing a problem occurring, or something is not getting well. So I think is a blanket blame cutting across, even to the media, the federation, the coaches, and the athletes.
Guilty. Yes. You mentioned doping, and we've had quite a lot of that in recent years. And in almost every case, I know nobody ever says, yes, I'm guilty, but in many cases, we feel from where we're sitting that somebody has manhandled an athlete. Because a lot of these athletes will say, I had no clue I had this substance, or I took an illegal substance. And then does it fall on the coach? What are your issues about that? Or should our athletes just be educating themselves more?
Carol, there are various angles you can look at this. It's negligence, lack of sensitization, or just ignorance from all of us, athletes and coaches and everybody. There's a very thin line between doping and no doping. The normal conventional medicaments that you get off the counter, like Brufen, anything having caffeine, any muscle relaxers, even coffee, to some quantity you've doped.
Oh, I dope every day.
So people are doping every day. But the reason why Kenya is standing out and people are a bit loud to us is because of surplus of athletes. We have many athletes. Are these cases systematic? No. These are isolated cases spread across from somebody who just decided, let me try this and go to a race in China. Yes, I'm not denying there's some high-level personalities who have been nabbed.
Quite a few this year alone.
Quite a few this year alone. And we are happy. If they're getting nabbed, it is good. It shows that our system, the ADAC, the AIU, and WADA, the World Anti-Doping Authority, are working. If they're not being nabbed, then there's some system involved in doping, like Russia did.
The systematic doping,
that was systematic doping.
But
so Kenya and Athletics Kenya have known for years having seminars for anti-doping.
My concern, and I don't really want to mention his name, but you'll all know who I'm talking about, is that we had athletes going to Olympics. They had been tested locally, they were tested when they got there, and then the day before a run, they found you've doped. So is it that the other tests were not, I don't know, what was the issue?
Carol, I'll mention him if it is okay with you.
Yes.
I was part of the advanced team to Kurume for the Olympics team. I was sent by the federation, by the government now, through the federation. And part of the team I was in charge was a team of sprinters.
Yes.
Omanyala and Mark.
Yes.
Normally, as a coach was to do, you work very closely with the DCOs. These are doping control officers for collecting samples. We were in Kurume for 2 weeks, or slightly more than 2 weeks, before flying to Tokyo and joining up with the first batch of athletes that were arriving in Tokyo. And before an event, I have to identify to the DCOs that these are my athletes who will be running, because from the technical center, you have a list and you've seeded names and you know who is going to be running and who is not going to be running. These names are submitted to the DCOs. What they do with them is their problem, but they come to do sample collections. And I identified athletes that were supposed to be picked. One of them was one of the athletes who was sample was positive. And you see, there are various ways of administering substance. I'm not saying he did because I'm not a doctor, but they say he did. There's the IV, which has to be injectable, intravenous. There's the oral. I don't know whether this was IV or not. Some of them you take it now and the next minute is appearing in your samples, which could be blood or urine. So the testing which was done in Nairobi was fantastic. We were in Tokyo. We were in Kurume for 2 weeks. Then we went to Tokyo the 3rd week. Another testing was done. So if there was any substance which was abused, it was between Kurume and Tokyo. So I'm not doubting ADAC, how they work. I'm not doubting our local testing system, how it works. It is the athlete has to be fully responsible to what goes into their body. And I won't call it contamination, because you see, most of our athletes like taking supplements. This is huge business. And as I say, there's a very thin line between doping and not doping. Some of the substance, why do they take substance? To aid recovery, so that you can train more.
I of course, in the case we're mentioning, which is one of our sprinters, again, I'm not a medical doctor, but I like to think I'm a good judge of character. And when I speak to somebody who is, first of all, is so religious that he turned down betting sponsorship when he didn't have the money, when he was broke, would not even take flu medicine, which was allowed, because he said, I don't want to risk. This is such an opportunity of a lifetime. But again, I don't want to get into the case because again, we don't have all the facts. We're not medical doctors. But I feel that maybe we have handlers who are misleading some athletes.
You see, most of our athletes prefer the wazungus kama wewe yellow. Ukiona mimi na soko hainishiki.
I'm from Bondo, yeah.
Count that side. I need. So if you pick any white guy, chokora from the streets of Paris, London, New York, clean them well, give them a suit and a tie, and they come here, say I'm a manager, every athlete will be heading to them. And you, Carol, who is as well a manager, no one will come to you. So that perception that Wazungu are the best is still haunting us. There are a lot of traffic of supplements from South Africa coming to Kenya. How many South Africans have been busted doping and having consumed some of the supplements who are contaminated? Because you don't know which one is contaminated. I'm not saying supplements are bad. If they're recommended by a doctor, tested, proven and tried, and they're clean, there's nothing wrong with that. But we don't know which, because this is a multi-million business going on. And they are in top-level competition. Whose is, like Changa back home, gani na lewe sharaka sana. So they even put some other concoctions.
You go blind.
Yes, and you go blind. That is the same concept. That is what's going on with supplement as well. And South Africa is the biggest source of these supplements.
So our athletes also have to be careful about which coaches are handling them, because this is word on the street that some of these, as you say, Muzungu coaches who are attractive, they want to come, get a win, make their money and go. They really don't care about you long term.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And once you've been busted, then you're on your own.
They're gone to the next person.
Even when you are injured, many athletes are helpless when they pick up injuries, that managers don't pick their calls anymore. Because many years ago, I happened to be somewhere in Europe, and I mixed very well with these coaches, with these managers. So we're having dinner, and then they're having discussion on the performance of their athletes. And one was saying, oh, my team is not doing very well, they're picking up injuries. And go to the bush and pick another horse. Which is the bush? Africa. Which is the horse? You and I. I stopped having dinner and I stood up and said, watch your mouth. See, that is what is going on.
That we're a dime a dozen.
Yes.
Lose one, get the next one.
I'm not saying all of them are bad. Some are good, but majority of them are not good.
And I know AK, was it last year or the year before, they actually set out new criteria for coaches coming into the country for athletics and put some restrictions.
Was it out of innovation, out of research, or was it as a reaction?
I'm not sure. I just like to think that there is a form of licenses that these coaches need, and that AK will do their homework to make sure that the coaches coming to this country to handle our athletes are not just anybody.
It's true, but I want it to be as a form of system-based, not as a form of reaction. For example, sad that we lost one of our very best. May our soul rest in peace. Every man that marries an athlete who is performing well, they come across as a coach. Tell me any marathoner lady whose husband is not a coach.
Without the qualifications.
Without the qualification. These are the things that at some point has to be discussed. I'm not saying do not protect your family, but to be a coach outside this country, it's so tough to be qualified, to be certified as a coach. But here, any chokora comes in, they look white, brown, yellow, blue, indigo, and they say, I'm from America with very heavy accent, and tomorrow they're coaching our athletes. Why? Is it system? Is it the Ministry of Sports? Is it the Federation? Is it that we are not careful with our sisters and brothers and kids, that we allow them to be handled by anybody else? So it is like a big question as well. That is cutting across all of us. We have to be responsible. If you see somebody like that, report them to the federation. Don't house them, don't host them somewhere. Because you can't go to their country and start coaching. They will report you immediately. They won't even trust you with their babies, brothers, sisters, or themselves. No, say, no, who are you? Show me your credential. Are you qualified? They won't put you through medical tests because you're going to infect their kids with diseases or something like that. But here, open door, walk. You're free, you can come. Say you're a physio, say you're a coach, and you go out. So it is the citizenry that has to be
on its toes.
On its toes, and inform the authorities that this is going on in my backyard. Then we'll be fine.
And athletes themselves also need to not be so desperate.
Yes, to fall for anyone.
You see a Muzungu, you imagine yourself, you're running in the States,
Wow,
you're running in Europe.
This is a manager. Manager what?
Yeah.
Huh? If you wash him well and give him a suit and place him as a stooge somewhere as a manager, you'll see a number of applications going to have. Oh, I want you to manage me. You don't even know whether this person is a manager or a con man. And you don't want to know how much we've lost, how much athletes have lost in the hands of these fake managers, fake coaches, the physios from outside.
What do you think our athletes need to know? Because a lot of these careers, a sports person's career is very short. I think unless you're playing golf, which you can play until you're 70, life after sport, what should they know, or what investments should they make in themselves? Or because it seems all our athletes go make money, either they buy land or build flats.
Or buy big vehicles.
Or buy, heaven forbid, because that's not an investment.
Very serious vehicles.
Yeah.
Radull we are so lucky that we have a lot of talent, which is supporting our economy as well, bringing in money from the sporting angle. And we are not lucky that most of this money are being wasted, not invested very well. And when athletes start running, they're running away from poverty. They get money, the poverty disappears. Then they start running with poverty, and then the thing running that will never end. It's like a fisherman. You know, tomorrow you'll get fish from the nearest lake near your place, Imbo. I used to buy fish there. You're buying it because you know tomorrow you'll get another one. You don't care about the source. But not knowing that you can step outside your house and you've broken your leg and you can't run anymore. And you spend all the money yesterday with friends buying a vehicles. So again, that goes to the handlers as well. I'm having kids as athletes. Apart from teaching these kids to run well into the youth, junior and senior, I should be teaching them the same, how they need to spend their money, how their money will work for them after athletics, because the window for competition is very small. So you run to get money, then your money will be working for you. Your money will keep on running for you. And again, this is where the endorsement are coming from. This is where the self-branding should be there as well. So we need various organs to come on board. That's why my club is open to people who want to help the athletes invest. We want to teach these athletes to know that tomorrow they won't be running, but they need a name, and there's life after running. Yes. So the question is with the handlers. The athletes might not know because all of a sudden they don't have money, asking bus fare. Tomorrow 10 million, boom. He doesn't know what to do with this 10 million. Yeah. So who is there to help the athlete? It is the support staff. You're not looking at that money as your money. That money is for the athlete. You need to help them invest that money. If athlete is not willing to sit down with you, then you don't need that athlete. We've lost some of our very good athletes because they couldn't manage their resources well. Samuel Wanjiru.
Sad case.
Fantastic, yeah. Sad case. And many other. If you go to Ngong, some of high-level world-breaking athletes who are having flats and many vehicles are now borrowing money from people. If you go to Iten during the COVID, the Shylocks were having a field day because these people don't have any savings. Now they're getting vehicles for free and giving you some tokens for you to survive. What is wrong? Apart from training our legs to run, we need to train our brains to start thinking, so that tomorrow we know where we're headed, so that we don't kill our wives, but we love them, so that we bring up our family as well, so we support our parents, so we talk very well with the media, so that from this work, you can join the federation, you can work with the government, we become responsible citizens.
Indeed. I'll just talk very quickly about short distance running, now that we've seen what Omanyala can do. It's unfortunate, as you said, Mark Otieno didn't get to race because of that doping issue, where the jury, I believe, is still out. But do you see a time when Kenya can have more short distance champions?
Definitely. Omanyala is an inspiration at the moment. I've seen what is going on. There's a huge paradigm shift that many athletes are asking if they want to join the sprint. I get calls every hour, emails, text messages. Can I join the club?
Sprints.
Can you train us? Who can help us do ABCD? So that was very good. And I like what the government is doing. Omanyala was honored by the president. Some other betting companies are on board to help him as well. And of course, some other brands are coming as well. So this is the way to go.
It's a way to go, but I sort of have an issue with our government, especially because we tend more to celebrate after the fact instead of creating the infrastructure and environment to train you to become great.
Carol.
So, as you say, yours, Rongai, is a private institution. There should be a government plan, whether it's through the ministry and schools working in partnership to groom these athletes so that we're not surprised when they do well. Because now it's like, Allah.
Carol, I'm not a politician.
I know.
But if you're told now to go and get the voter's card, you say, I'm busy, I'm running a show, and then you let people, I won't say lesser, for better word, but people who are not qualified to lead you and make decisions on your behalf, then what do you expect? So why don't we choose leadership which are informed, who can listen to us, not come and give us handouts and lie? And people can lie bluntly. I'm not a politician, I don't support any side, but I don't like our political system, the way it works. I see them lying to us and say, this guy is just lying to us. I know of them.
Because his track record shows that you told us this 5 years ago.
I'll be very honest with you. We really struggle to train where we are training. We're even paying various places to train. And when they drive, they find us running along the road, they even blew dust on us. They don't care about us. They don't even know this is Timothy Chariot. I have to beg because the security officers are coming, chase cars are coming so fast, and the dust is this much. Who is that passing? A governor, a senator, a member of parliament. So
let Timothy go and get gold in
then
Tokyo.
you see them with flags and they want to carry Timothy up.
And buy breakfast.
So it starts with you and myself as well and the rest of the crews here. We need to be very wise. We need to speak up.
You were saying you run your academy, your training center. It's non-profit. But then how do you finance it? Because it's not cheap, I'm sure.
For many years, I've done it from my own pocket. For a few years back, 1 or 2, some other partners have come on board to support with kits and just a little bit. So most of the money coming from my pocket.
As a manager, don't you have a right to get commission when your athletes do well?
I don't look at it as a right because when I have you on board, as a very young person, naive, doesn't know how to run, then tomorrow you start running, there's what's called adopt an athlete. You'll find Timothy has adopted some athletes, Winnie Chebet, Elijah, some of those senior athletes. They're adopting an athlete. This is lessening the burden for myself as well. And I want to say thanks to Nike, because Nike has decided to kit all my upcoming athletes and give contracts to the senior ones. And this is a very good contract. So you see, coaching is long term. The people who want to plant maize, the person who want to plant mango or avocado tree or plant timber. This person will wait for 10, 15 years to start earning. This person will be earning after 3 months. But what do we have here? is patience. The people suffering a lot of disorders. The people having attention deficiency, hyperactivity disorders. People will never wait. And the people will relax and enjoying the moment that is going on. I'm a person of the process. I like the process. And I document everything. This process is where I draw my happiness. Wow, we did it. After 10 years, 3 years, 5 years, 2 years. So we are not in a rush with anybody, not in competition. This is art of passion. And I want to thank the Federation for having, referring my name to Olympic Committee of Kenya. And they gave me a scholarship, a very expensive scholarship, to go and study sports science in Hungary.
And you'll bring back that knowledge. Or you've already done that course?
Oh, I did it. And I was so lucky because I graduated 2016. I was so lucky to come out the best student among 28 countries. And
but
the president was
you
very
don't
happy.
say. Humble is a pretender.
Not really. Yeah.
No, but that's fantastic because it's all about bringing back the knowledge to improve on the sport.
Yeah, if I want to make money, Carol, I'll be in the US, I'll be in Europe, in the UK, Canada to make money. It pays well. And I get a lot of invitation and request most of the times.
To go and train their athletes?
Yes, I was in South Africa 2019, 2020 early when we were having a coaches consortium. Somebody hinted, would you mind? I said, no, I have kids at RAC.
I will
who are
handcuff
after
you to
me.
Nairobi.
Yeah? Yeah. Same request from the British athletics as well. Would you mind? And some other countries as well. Would you mind? But since I'm not doing this thing for money, if I have to make money, I know where to go to make money. But I'm just looking for a little that can sustain us, and I can't leave my kids to be orphans because I've been poached to go and work outside.
You're a good man. You're a good man. He's being scouted by the world and he's saying he's not a top coach. Fine. Okay. I found one humble Jago. Anyway, Bernard Ouma, thank you so much. I've enjoyed this conversation and I think I like what you do and I wish your athletes the best. I mean, it's which season are we going into and who's competing in this season that we're going into, apart from Timothy?
We have a very busy season. RAC was before COVID, we were about 50 athletes. Now it has gone down to 20-something. Because I work at RAC and I work at Strathmore University as well. And helping those who are talented in athletics and can get scholarships. So I'm running that as well at Strathmore University. 2022, 2023, 2024, those are solid years. 2022 is very important to us because I work with Nike based in Oregon. And the next World Championship will be the Hayfield in Oregon. A very nice track. So we're looking at having a big number. Of course, we have the World Under 20 next year in Cali, Colombia. And I have some athletes who are still very young who want to try their luck there as well. Then after that, we'll have the Commonwealth Games. I have a big number of athletes. I'm looking at, most of the time we produce quite a chunk of the Kenya team athletes. RAC at times produces 6. And there's no single year that we come back without a medal. The lowest medal we've ever come back with is silver.
Eish.
Most of them are gold something.
And he calls himself an upcoming coach. Bernard, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have to wrap now, but I think thanks for honoring this invitation and allowing us to talk about athletics for a change. It can't be football every week. And yet when the athletes do well, we're all cheering. We're all behind you. But
Asante sana, we thank the media as well for the support you're giving to our athletes. Usichoke na sisi.
We can't.
At RAC, at Rongai Athletics Club, is open to, we have kids athletics. And
I'd actually like to come and have a look.
Yeah, one of the day you can pass by, say hello to the rest of the team.
Told we need a visa to get to Rongai.
Oh, you don't need one. And that sign of Gweri Nairobi has been taken out. So
okay,
it's just
good.
part of Nairobi.
Good. So thank you so much. And thank you guys as usual for watching Radull Live. We'll see you again next week as we have another good conversation.